License to Kill is one of my favorite James Bond movies. I first watched it 20 years ago. It was back in 2006. My mom got me Cablevision for my birthday, January 2006, and I recorded a bunch of movies that I saw. I had a huge VHS collection of movies I recorded, mostly westerns, war movies, and action movies. And one of my favorite channels was AMC, and they would always do James Bond marathons. And when I watched License to Kill, I was impressed by how good it was, how awesome the action was, how cool the story was. Um, in it, Bond is on a personal vendetta mission after his best friend Felix from the CIA. He helps him bust this drug dealer named played by Robert Davi named Sanchez, and Sanchez he's abusive to his girlfriend Lupe, played by Talisa Soto. And she's one of the Bond girls in this movie. Another Bond girl is Pam Bouvier, a DEA informant and pilot that becomes Bond's sidekick later in the movie. I'll get to her later. Um, well, if I had to choose between the two, I would choose the Bouvier because she's way hotter than I do. And this is an awesome movie. A lot of critics hated it for being too dark. I don't care. I liked it just the way it was. And confuses me is that Roger Ebert. I love Roger Ebert. He was a great film critic, but I mean he criticized Living Daylights for being too dark and being devoid of most of the humor that came with James Bond. But he gave this he gave the previous one like 2 stars out of four, but in this one he gave like 3.5 stars out of four, and he said it was good. What's the difference, man? Anyway, um, Bond is assigned to go after Sanchez after Sanchez breaks out of prison, and he breaks out of custody. He was in a prison van on the way to jail, but he he kills Felix's new wife that he just married, Della, and has Felix mangled. His legs messed up by this shark and left for dead, but he survives and is taken to the hospital. But I don't understand why he didn't kill Felix if he was so evil. But whatever. Um, Bond it takes his personal when he's assigned to the case. His superiors they uh, realize what kind of vendetta he's up against, so they tell him you're suspended, but he says no and goes rogue. And even though his superior M is he reluctant to help. He sends Q out to give him some gadgets. Like there's this pack of cigarettes. It's actually a little tiny bomb disguised as a pack of cigarettes, and there's this like signature gun. Like when it only recognizes the fingerprint of the first person who touches it, which is Bond. So nobody else who tries to shoot it can shoot it. And okay, Bond teams up with Bouvier and they team up with Q, and Bond is gonna assassinate Sanchez while he's at this like board meeting, basically of drug dealers. But and he's attacked by these ninjas when he takes a shot, and the ninjas take him captive. The ninjas are Hong Kong narcotics agents. They're gonna send him back to London when they find out who he is. But then their hideout is raided, where all the agents are killed. Bond is rescued by Sanchez's men, and he Sanchez hires him as an assassin. But then when they take a tour of his drug factory, his Bond is recognized by Sanchez's henchman Dario, and he tries to kill Bond by knocking him under this conveyor belt after Bond sets off a bomb that starts blowing up the place. And when Bond is falling down this conveyor belt into this grinder, he's trying to hold on, but then Dario jumps on there and tries to get him, and but Bond he beats him and he throws him down in there, and he's like that's cut up by the grinder. You don't show him get cut up, but you show the blood spewing, and it's pretty dark and violent for a Bond movie. Of course, it does have some moments of humor in it that make you laugh. Like there's this televangelist played by Wayne Newton, who's a parody of famous preachers who got exposed as creeps and adulterers during the '80s, like Jim Baker and Swaggart and all that. And it's and Wayne Newton gives a pretty funny performance. He never says "God bless you." He says "Bless your heart" because he's not his character's not a Christian. He's just a member of this like sex cult, and And after the fat Bond gets out of the conveyor belt, the factory blows up. There's this big chase down the highway, like Bond and Bouvier on this little plane. They chasing these tankers full of petrol and cocaine instead of instead of gasoline, and but the petrol is flammable. And Bond jumps on one of the tankers. Sanchez comes at him with a machete. They fight. The tanker crashes, and and when Sanchez is about to kill Bond, Bond says, "Don't you want to know why I did it?" And Sanchez is covered in petrol, so Bond takes out this lighter that's inscribed to Bond, "Love always, Felix and Della," that they gave to him on their wedding day, and because he was the best man, and he sets Sanchez on fire, and Sanchez is burning to death. He runs around, and the flames cause the tanker to explode, killing him. Bond gets out of the way in time, and at a celebration party when Sanchez's ex-girlfriend is hitting on Bond because she fell for him earlier. He he rejects her and he tells her, "You and the president will make a good role." Because the president of the country they're in, he's played by Pedro Armendariz Jr., who's all right in the role. And then he goes for a romantic swim with Bouvier, which is very sweet, wholesome ending. I really like them together as a couple. They had good chemistry. This was a good farewell to James Bond for Timothy Dalton. Although I would have loved to see him in more, especially Goldeneye, which I'm going to review next. All right, that's all for now. Thank you. God bless you. I give it 2 thumbs up. Bye.